excited to share our next guest for our Voices with Dementia. He describes himself in the following way. He says, I am a 33-year-old chef, artist, writer, volunteer, educator, Special Olympian, and athlete with dementia and other health conditions who has good days and bad days, determined to live life well and each moment to the fullest. Please join me in welcoming Kris McElroy. Kris.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you today.
Perfect. Yes. And Kris was born with neuromuscular disorder, and he's overcome all the obstacles his life has given him through the years. Again, at only 33 years old, he has earned a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, a Master's of Science in Multidisciplinary Human Services, and he even went on to attain his PhD. He was in his second year, and he writes, even though I had challenges all my life, I have always bounced back or found a way. Until now. Kris, what do you mean by that when you say that, and why did you finally decide to stop pursuing your PhD studies?
I stopped pursuing my PhD because I realized that all the energy I was putting into it was actually making the challenges I was experiencing worse. And I didn't want to spend all my time working toward something I didn't actually in my life anymore need to do what I wanted to do, which was just help people and live life to the fullest.
So, Kris, instead of getting your PhD, which is more research focused in a focused, limited area, you choose instead to be a master. You got your master's degree, so you choose instead to be a master of your life and profession instead of pursuing that research focus. Right?
Yes, I do. And that master does a lot. I do so much more with my life now that I never dreamed or even thought about doing before the dementia happened.
And what are some of the initiatives you're taking now in your life with your energy directed away from the PhD, but more focused to the initiatives that you're taking? What are some of those initiatives?
Well, one, I get to continue to be a Special Olympian and participate in the Special Olympics. I also have time to do any community-based workshops and initiatives promoting how to create inclusive and diverse communities where I live. So I think I've done so far this year alone about 6 or 7 workshops and group activities.
And Kris, when I listen to you speak, your speech is slow and halting. And for viewers who are not familiar with this aspect of your neuromuscular disorder and your dementia, can you please shed light on what causes you to speak in this way?
My muscles take longer to coordinate the speech. So even though I might have the words in my head, over the years it's taken longer for the signals to all work together and the speech to come out. So even slow, it's still on a good day will come out clear. On a really bad day, I use a program on my iPad, which helps me speak.
Is that program like Stephen Hawking's program that is your speaking for you?
Yes, it is. I'm a miniature version of Stephen Hawking.
But you know what? I feel for you when you say how it is, you know, because sometimes you can process faster, but your speech is still coming slower because of the muscle limitations. And so I think about your age, 33, you're a young whippersnapper, and you want to move fast. Your mind sometimes wants to move a lot quicker than your body. And how do you deal with that difference?
Honestly, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating, but I still do it anyway. Sometimes I get the words jumbled up. Sometimes I do end up moving faster and I don't realize I filled out a piece of paper with all the wrong information on it. And then I learned through the dementia to just, it is what it is. I laugh it off. I see the humor in it and I fill it out all over again. Or I ask someone, wait, I'm a little slower speaking and processing today. Just bear with me if you can and I'll get it out. And sometimes that works well. Sometimes I hit barriers where the person just keeps asking me the same question, but you're so young, can't you just try harder to speak clearer and faster? I can't control how other people are going to respond. All I can do is just be me.
And that is a critical piece of advice in coping. Number one, you can't control how other people respond, because actually, Kris, you devote enough energy to trying to cope with and try to do the things you want to do, not only, again, in your advocacy, but also in the workshops and the things that you participate in since the diagnosis and since you have left your PhD studies. So I'm going to ask you this. Do you live alone right now?
Yes, I still live alone.
And are you able to manage the things that you need to do? We talk about ADLs, activities of daily living. Are you able to manage those things on your own?
On a good day with help, yes. On a bad day with a lot more help, some things still get missed, and again, I laugh it off, and tomorrow is a new day.
So
I have a lot of reminders all over my apartment and assistive devices that I use too.
when you say, you've just said something that leads me to ask a couple questions. One is, the things that get missed, like what is one thing that gets missed?
One thing that gets missed is sometimes breakfast might not happen until I think around dinner time, and it's not on purpose. It's that I miss it and then don't remember that I missed breakfast. So it's
So
just,
your energy level then must go down, and you're wondering why until you somehow or another realize you need nourishment for your body to feel stronger.
yes. And I learned too, if I can't remember whether I've eaten, if I'm hungry, don't stress and expend energy trying to remember if I ate. Just eat.
You're a peaceful person in that way, that you just accept what is and don't let the drama of the disease get to you at this time in your life. That's really what I'm hearing right now.
I guess, yeah, I've never thought of it that way, but I knew I would used to, in the beginning, put a lot of energy into, wait, I can't remember, I have to remember. And my reality is, unless if I can't remember, I can't remember. I still have to figure out what to do in this moment.
So you mentioned also, there was two other questions I had with your original comment. So you mentioned that you have help and that you use assisted devices. So assistive devices, let's talk about that for a moment. What assistive devices are helpful to you at this time?
I have a medication system that splits up the medicine for each day and is color coded, and it also has a talking alarm clock and will tell me exactly what to take. And then I have something called a reminder Rosie, which I call my personal robotic assistant, who I have my sister Hollie helps me program that, and that will actually tell me exactly what to do at any given time on any given day.
So Hollie is you have assistive devices as an AI, artificial intelligence, with the pill reminder and the reminder Rosie. But you also have a human device, a human help source in Hollie, who helps you not only deal with the assistive devices, but does she also come over and help you in the things that you might need some help with?
Yes, she does, and we communicate every day. And she's also been helpful for me learning how to navigate and find my way
So
living with it too.
does she, so let me ask this, do you, in one of your Facebook photos for the Special Olympics, you are seen with a walker. Do you get out by yourself, or do you usually get out when you coordinate it with your sister Hollie?
Now it's a combination of both, but I usually get out with my walker. I've learned to do most things with the walker and or a wheelchair.
Oh, so you do also need a wheelchair if again the symptoms act up more so?
Yes, and
Okay.
if it's a wheelchair day, I definitely need help with that.
And
So for most days, I'm with the walker.
is Hollie your only human source of help, or do you use other sources of help as well?
Right now, she's my primary use of support.
Kudos to Hollie, then, your care partner, I will say, because you're still pretty independent, but she steps in. So major kudos to Hollie. And I want to ask you now something a little different than what we've talked about, because as we see your image here in this interview, I see Mona Lisa, and I see a young person there reaching out to Mona Lisa. Can you please tell me the significance of this photo, this painting behind you, where I think it's a lithograph, right?
I have no idea what it is. It's, and for me, I'm an artist. I've always been an artist. And at the time I found this picture, I was struggling physically to learn a new way to do art because I couldn't physically do it the way I used to anymore. And seeing the boy on a chair painting the Mona Lisa, first you wouldn't think a boy would be able to do that. Second, you would think he's too short to do that. So to me, when I look at that picture, it reminds me that despite any stereotype or stigma, anything is possible. Even if it changes how something occurs, I can still do art, just like the boy can do art. I just might look different doing it, or might have to have something that helps me do it too.
I love that message that you just shared about the potential, not giving in and surviving, and even taking it a step further and doing these creative ventures. So again, our time has moved very quickly here, as I warned you before we even did this interview. So I want to ask Kris, what did you do before, in your work years when you were able to work, because you did say you did work a little bit. What were you able to do during your working years?
I was a teacher for elementary school kids. I also taught art. I was an independent contract actor. I was a coordinator for a nonprofit organization, and then I was also an activity leader for an Alzheimer's and Dementia assisted living facility.
So you are a Renaissance man with many skills and many undertakings, and now you're not able to work, but what do you see as the stigma for this disease? And I believe you're experiencing a double stigma here as a person with dementia and also as a person who's in his youthful 30s living with dementia. You should not have dementia. You mentioned your doctor attributed it to stress, that how can a young person have dementia? So tell me what the struggles are that you live with this disease with other people, and how they view you.
I'm imbued, so much energy can be spent into trying to validate that I have dementia. So much energy can be spent answering people's questions of, wait, are they sure? Is it this? Is it that? Have you tried this? Maybe if you eat better, it will go away. The reality is, though, is that I do have dementia, and that energy that's spent trying to answer questions based within stigma or stereotypes takes away the energy that can be used for me to still use the talents or gifts or strengths that I have. or just even to be able to share with one another or interact and experience life. It's not about whether I can or can't do something. It's, you wouldn't argue with someone, are you sure you have cancer? So why are you going to say, are you sure you have dementia? Yes, if a doctor, I have it on the paper, it says dementia due to other medical condition with behavior disturbance. That's all the explanation I need. And now I just want to know, how can I move forward? If you don't want to help me move forward, then I can't expend the energy. And that's unfortunate, but I have to focus my energy into where it makes a positive difference.
Kris, these are powerful words of inspiration and advice to others who are dealing with their diagnosis, and also to people that I call PWODs, people without dementia. I think your advice is powerful. And so I want to ask in closing, I mean, I could close now given what you've just said, but I do want to ask in closing if there's any additional words you wish to share with those who will view this video.
Yes, there's one thing I would like to say, and I think it's just something that I have to remember every day, and I hope everyone remembers every day, that before the dementia and after the dementia, I'm still the same person I always was. The dementia just joined what my whole life story is. And my life story is my past, it's my present, and it also includes whatever my future will be. And it's important to remember that I'm a whole person. The dementia is a part of me, but it's not all of me and all of my story. And that involves every single person has a whole story, a whole life story, and a whole lot of aspects of who they are, and get to know them.
Kris, thank you so very much for that final remark. And again, Kris McElroy, and I didn't share this in the beginning, but from Maryland, here in the US. Thank you so very much.